Hey everybody, we are at our last port of call in New Zealand. It's been 3 weeks since we left. We boarded the Zaandam March 6th out of Sydney and then headed towards New Zealand. And in this video, I'll just catch you up on some of the highlights from March 6th to March 18th as we sailed from Milford Sound on the very bottom of the South Island up here to Bay of Islands in the North Island of New Zealand.
One big perk of the start of our cruise was that we were overnight in Sydney and docked right in Sydney Harbour. So we got those epic views of the Sydney Opera House, the ferries going back and forth, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and then the Luna Park amusement park just underneath the bridge.
Our time in New Zealand began with some scenic sailing through Milford Sound.
We had incredible weather. We were so lucky to go through Milford Sound. We saw the waterfalls coming down. We also got to Doubtful Sound and really got to enjoy a lot of the fjords. Our first port of call was Port Chalmers, where we headed to a penguin reserve. I didn't really see any penguins in the wild, but you can see the sea lions here. So we got to see 3 different sea lions. They were frolicking along the beach, in the ocean, and along the rocks. This was a private reserve that has also set up a little hospital to help these yellow-eyed penguins be able to thrive in the wild. They offer additional feeding. The next day, we headed to Timaru, where we took a bus tour to a small town called Geraldine. It was not our favorite tour, but we made the most of it with a trip to the distillery. In Wellington, we headed to Weta Workshop. This was the workshop that produced all of the physical items for The Lord of the Rings and a lot of other movies, over 100 different movies. So it was really fun to explore. For lunch, we headed to Panhead Brewery, and then we headed to the museum for an incredible Galapagos museum that Weta Workshop did some of the work for. In Tauranga, we went to this incredible geothermal area with all of these hot springs and geysers and mud pots. It was so interesting. These are the mud pots. So basically, this is just boiling mud in this field. They have set up boardwalks along the way so you can see it. We had a wonderful tour guide. Basically, what happens is the mud hardens as it gets exposure to the air and creates these little volcanoes, and that's what causes the bubbling up. There's also a huge geyser that can go up to 30 meters in the air. All the steam you see is, again, because the water's just so hot. It was absolutely incredible. Very similar to what you would see in Yellowstone. We just felt really lucky to be there. This area has a lot of importance to the Maori culture, so they did a cultural presentation. The balls she is twirling are meant to represent birds in flight. Then it was time to head back to Auckland, where our trip began. We took a ferry over to Waiheke Island and joined a wine tour. Our favorite of the 3 wineries was Casita Miro, which had incredible wines. It's a beautiful place to have a wine tasting. It's inspired by Spanish wines, and we were there just as they were preparing for harvest. So they had put nets out to prevent the birds from eating the grapes, and they were just pulling in the nets while we were there. After a great day on the island, we took the ferry back over to Auckland and, of course, had to have some oysters before we left. The next day, we headed to Ahi Restaurant, which is our favorite restaurant in Auckland now, and had a terrific tasting menu. It also happened to be St. Patrick's Day, so we headed to an Irish pub. Back on board the Zaandam, we joined the St. Patrick's Day bar hop, which was a lot of fun.
1, 2, 3, go!
And that brings us to today, to Waitangi. This was the location of the treaty that was signed between the Maori people and the British. It's also home to Bay of Islands, and the highlight was going through Hole in the Rock.
Straight back.
So now we head to the South Pacific, Tonga, and then on to French Polynesia.